Good evening. Chair calls to order Legislative Session Day 24-006. I would ask you to please to join us in standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening in prayer, asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support. As we begin this meeting, we thank you for the many blessings in our lives and in our county. We're living in challenging times. Give us the knowledge, understanding, and patience needed to legislate on behalf of our citizens. Lord, as always, we ask you to watch over our military, law enforcement, first responders, healthcare providers, and educators. We ask these things and more in your most holy name. Amen. Amen. Council, just want to recognize that Councilman Bennett is not with us this evening. He's under the weather a little bit. I also, Mr. Penman, with your okay, I'd like to recognize Corporal Austin Penman, United States Marine Corps, in the audience this evening, and I understand you're done your time. Congratulations and thank you for your service. Agenda item number 4, presentation of proclamations. We have none. 5, consideration of petitions, applications, appointments, and nominations. Executive appointments, Liquor Control Board. Mr. Giangiordano.
Council President, I move to approve the new appointment of Bang Tam Miller for the Liquor Control Board.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. It's moved and seconded to approve the new appointment to the Liquor Control Board. Is there any discussion? Mr. Penman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to congratulate Ms. Miller. What a tremendous asset to our community and, advocate for many organizations in our county. She's done tremendous work, and I know that she'll do tremendous work on the liquor board as well. So thank you.
Anyone else? I, too, want to congratulate Ms. Miller for the service that she's provided to her community for years and now to our county as well. So congratulations, prematurely, but congratulations. Ms. Dixon.
Mr. President?
Aye.
Mr. Guthrie?
Aye.
Mr. Penman?
Aye.
Mr. Giangiordano?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Milsados?
Aye.
There being 6 votes in the affirmative, 1 absent, the appointment is hereby approved. Congratulations, Ms. Miller. Would you please stand and be recognized?
Ms. Nedgewood.
Number 6, special presentations. We have none. 7, approval of minutes. Public hearing February 6, 2024. Legislative Day 24-005, February 6, 2024. Are there any corrections to the minutes? There being no corrections, the minutes stand approved. 8, introduction and consideration of resolutions. Resolution 004-24, Thoroughbred Training Facility in Perryman. Mr. Giangiordano.
Resolution 004-24, authorization Thoroughbred Training Facility in Perryman. Introduced by Councilmember Jacob Bennett, a resolution of the County Council of Harford County to support the establishment of a Thoroughbred Training Facility in Perryman, listed in the Maryland Thoroughbred Racetrack Operating Authority's Racing and Training Center Development Report dated January 5th, 2024, as the Mitchell Farm Training Center, 1642 Maryland, 159 Aberdeen, Maryland, 21001.
There's no public hearing required for this, but in Mr. Bennett's absence, we thought we would introduce it, but we're going to hold it till next week to where he can speak to it, and we'll vote on it then. Mr. Giangiordano, please read bills 24-003 through 24-006 into the record.
24-003, height monitoring, introduced by Councilmember Jacob Bennett. An act to add new Article 8, vehicle height monitoring systems to Chapter 244, vehicles and traffic of the Harford County Code as amended to enforce certain state and local laws restricting the presence of certain vehicles during certain times, defining certain terms, subject to certain standards, procedures, requirements, and limitations, exempting certain vehicles from enforcement, authorizing certain civil penalties for violations, and authorizing the adoption of regulations to carry out the provisions of this act, and generally relating to the vehicle height monitoring system. Bill 24-004, Plumbing Code, introduced by Council President at the request of the County Executive. An act to repeal and reenact with amendments subsection A of Section 16-7 Plumbing Board of Article 1 Department of Inspections, Licenses, and Permits of Chapter 16 Departments of the Harford County Code, and to repeal and reenact with amendments Chapter 202 Plumbing of the Harford County Code as amended, to provide that Harford County shall adopt as its standards for plumbing regulations the 2021 International Plumbing Code, the 2021 International Fuel Gas Code, and the 2021 International Residential Code, with certain amendments thereto and generally relating to plumbing regulations in Harford County, Maryland. Bill 24-005 Building Code, introduced by Council President at the request of County Executive. An act to repeal and reenact with amendments Chapter 82 Building Construction of the Harford County Code as amended, to provide that Harford County shall adopt as its standard for building regulations the 2021 International Building Code, the 2021 International Residential Code, the 2021 International Mechanical Code, the 2021 International Energy Conservation Code, and the 2021 International Swimming Pool and Spa Code, with certain amendments thereto, to further provide penalties for the violation of the building standards and generally related to building and construction in Harford County, Maryland. Bill 24-006 Electrical Code, introduced by Council President Vincenti at the request of the County Executive. An act to repeal and reenact with amendments Chapter 105 Electricity of the Harford County Code as amended, to provide that Harford County shall adopt as a standard for electrical installations and electricians the 2023 National Electrical Code, with certain amendments thereto and generally relating to electricians and electrical installations.
Public hearing is scheduled for March 12th, 2024, for each one of these bills, 6:30 p.m. in these council chambers. Mr. Penman, please read into the record for introduction Amendments 1 and 2 to Bill 24-001.
Yes, Mr. President. Amendments to Bill 24-001, Amendment Number 1, on page 3, after line 15, insert a receipt evidencing payment of the public school development impact fee as provided in section 123-59. Amendment Number 2, on page 2, on line 12, after requirements, insert the minimum lot size required for a detached accessory dwelling unit is 1 acre, and any detached accessory dwelling unit located on a lot of less than 1 acre in existence prior to the effective date of the council of 24-001 is grandfathered as a permitted use and is not subject to the provision of 267-20 of the zoning code.
Thank you, Mr. Penman. These also will be considered at a future meeting. Agenda items number 11, 12, 13, and 14. There is no business this evening. 17, comments from attending citizens. Ms. Dixon, do we have anyone signed up?
Yes, Mr. President, I believe we have 3 this evening. Wilbur Pierce, followed by Diana Sadowski and Brianna Coleman.
Call your first speaker, please. And just be mindful of your time limits. Good evening, sir. Name and address, please.
Wilbur B. Pierce, 117 Ford's Lane, Perryman, Maryland.
Thank you, sir.
I wasn't expected to be called on quite this quickly. That's all right. I have a little speech I'd like to give.
Just be mindful of your time, Mr. Pierce. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm Wilbur Brown Pierce, and I live in Perryman on 117 Ford's Lane since May of 1958. Here's a little bit of history. Yesterday, we saw in the Sun an article about eating establishments way back. I was a victim of that. I was refused entry into the new Ideal Diner in 1955 with my buddies. All of us were in Air Force uniforms to get a coffee before going back to Andrews Air Force Base. I was not allowed to enter because of my friends who were with me. I was up there for the weekend to visit my future wife, Betty, and met my friends at the diner, hopefully to go back to get a coffee before we went back to D.C. That was almost 70 years ago that happened. Now, next. Every time I go to the post office to get our mail, I have to see two piles of the worst junk and rubbish that you ever want to see. One on Ford's Lane and the other behind the place next to our post office. Why doesn't the county do something about unsightly rubbish piles? Also, pulling up to the post office, I hit a pothole on the shoulder as I go to park. That's been there for quite some time too, and the county doesn't seem to want to fill it up. Next, as I'm leaving the post office, there's another pothole on the other side of the road. It's difficult to understand the terrible maintenance that we get on the roads. Next, I see a sign, no trailers allowed. What's going on? I've owned trailers to haul in and out supplies and grain out. Before that, trailers were necessary to haul in supplies to the canning house and can goods out. Where did the authority sign girl get the authority to regulate traffic on a state highway? Next, I come to a single lane Ford's Lane and I see that the old 20-mile-an-hour sign was taken down and a new 30-mile-an-hour sign was put up in its place. Have the sign people gone crazy? I've suggested a truck turnaround at the old railroad crossing so that trailers that might go further than they probably should could get a turnaround and come back out. I hope that the powers to be can make that happen and solve a local problem forever. That rogue sign that was put up, I have some additions that I think would be necessary.
Mr. Pierce, your time is up, but I will relay your comments and concerns to Mr. Richardson again to make sure they're addressed, but let me thank you for your service, and if you'd like to come back again, we'd like to have you, sir.
I'll have to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Diana Sadowski.
Good evening, ma'am. Name and address, please.
Good evening, Diana Sadowski, 1113 Stromco Drive, Falston, Maryland. And I just have some observations that I'd like to kind of present to you guys from the testimonies from last week.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not going to talk about the recent initiative, but we all know what we're referring to. Was a little bit livid yesterday after the public hearing, particularly about the support that the bill sponsor was getting from out of county individuals. It's surprising to me that out of county individuals are allowed to come here to stand before you and tell you what they think our county should be and what our county should do. You know, these are the Harford County chambers. I wouldn't go to Baltimore County and stand in their chambers and tell them what they should do with Baltimore County. Baltimore County has its own problems, and they should take care of that. Harford County has our problems with overdevelopment, and we need to take care of that without input from others. I think to myself, is Harford County a testing base for Annapolis? Are we the guinea pig in Governor Moore's attempt to destroy stable neighborhoods? We've seen history prove itself that it doesn't work, and it simply destroys communities. I was thinking to myself, if I was an average 80-year-old and wanting to stay in my own home, I can appreciate that. Nobody likes change. But at the same vein, at 80 years old, would I want to take out another mortgage to build something? Would I want to become a landlord? Would I want that 1 a.m. call for a backed up toilet? Do I want to do that? Put yourself in those people's positions. Would you want to deal with that? I know I certainly don't. I just sincerely hope that the recent initiative is just another dead bill walking. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Brianna Coleman.
Good evening, ma'am. Name and address, please.
Good evening, Brianna Coleman, 2347 Ingle Road in Boston. I've been actively participating in countywide meetings since August with an interest in our adequate public facilities, specifically the capacity of our schools. And that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. Capacity is the number of recommended students that can appropriately function within a space. The current APFO threshold for school capacity in Harford County is 110%, and we're asking for it to be lowered to 100. I've listened to a group of Girl Scouts recently speak at a public hearing and say they ride school buses with 3 to a seat and attend a school that has converted classrooms or converted closets to classrooms. That school is Red Pump Elementary, which is at 102% capacity. Fallston Middle School is at 96% capacity and starts lunch at 10 a.m. due to the cafeteria not having enough space. There's only so many ounces of water that you can put into a cup, and there's only so many students that you can fit into a school. 100% is capacity. And it should be a non-negotiable, and the percentage should actually be lower. Redistricting is not the solution, and neither is adding portables. We can redistribute students all day, but it's just a Band-Aid on a problem. The only elementary schools with capacity are shown on this map in green, and they're all located in the northern and southern borders of our county, nowhere near where the capacity issues are, which are in red. I'm a mom, a business owner, and have a full schedule balancing all the things, just like many of us in this room. I feel passionately about this subject because there's a solution, and I feel it's my duty to share the issues and concerns our county is facing, and it's your duty to address and correct them. Lowering the capacity of our schools is the solution, and that's why I'm here to ask for your support by introducing legislation to support and lower the capacity of our schools and support 100%, because full is full. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
There are no more speakers, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. With no more speakers, we'll move into business from council members. Mr. Guthrie?
Thank you, Mr. President. Couple things. First, I want to congratulate Ms. Miller. She's not paying attention, but that's all right. She lives in Edgewood, and she does a lot of volunteering that wasn't mentioned, and that needs to be addressed also. We thank you for all you do in the area. I know we've worked together on a number of projects, particularly getting the dumpsters in and cleaning up the areas. And certainly, I appreciate all your efforts. They don't go unnoticed, to let you know. I've had a couple of meetings in the last week with both Senator Ben Cardin and Senator Chris Van Hollen by computer, and we're discussing the train increase of the bridges, both on Gunpowder River and also on the Bush River. Also, I had to have a meeting, not had to, but Bush River Yacht Club invited me to a meeting there to discuss about the bridges. They're very concerned. Also, because they have, you've got Otter Point, you've got the Bush River Yacht Club, and you've got the marina up there also. There's probably 1,000 boats in between those three areas. A lot of people up there, and they're concerned because they're only talking about raising the bridge about 3 feet. And unfortunately, that'll be that won't help them at all because they already have the bridge that opens. It opens 4 times a weekend from Memorial Day to Labor Day, so they got plenty of room to get any of their boats out. But raising it 3 feet, half of their boats won't even be able to go out because they're already higher than that. So we are trying to get it up to about 8 to 10 feet, which will be significant and will help both the Gunpowder and the Bush River. And it's already having an effect. Bridges are 125 years old, so you can imagine way back then there was no boats in that size. They were all rowboats. But it's having an effect on the Joppatown area because people that own the Joppatown Marina have ordered it closed down May 1. And that's going to be very difficult in our area. It's going to cause a lot of problems. There's a lot of boaters in the area. There's a lot of waterfront, probably not even at the marina. They shut that down. Where in the heck is anybody going to get any gas, and much less repairs for the boats because there's nothing around. The closest place that you're going to be able to get gas is Middle River. So we're hoping to get somebody that'll come in and buy this property and bring it up to date. Saturday, myself and Councilman Bennett attended the Aberdeen Fire Company Awards banquet, certainly at Water's Edge. Certainly, they're always very interesting. I enjoy going to them. Food was excellent. Myself and Mr. Bennett, Councilman Bennett, we gave out all the proclamations for the county and for also the state, because none of the state people are there because they're down at Annapolis doing something. We'll find out later. February 22nd, Joppatown High School is having a college fair, and from 6 to 8 p.m. So anybody who students are in Joppatown and they're looking at going to college, I suggest that the parents get there on the 22nd and look at what's available to their children for college. Finally, Joppa Crossing train area is talking about closing the area crossing Joppa Road, and the people are livid about it. There's a number of areas where the trains go across streets, and they're not talking about closing any of them. So, I mean, I think this is the test for them. This is a testing. They're testing to see if we can stop them. I'm on that board, so I'm opposed to it unless they can come up with give me some kind of reason why they want to close that road. Also, to let you know that the Joppa Fire Department, Joppa Magnolia Fire Department, they're totally opposed to closing that. That's a road they use a lot when they go to fires in different places. So that'll be that hearing. Won't be for a while, but we just want to get the message out there. March 21st in these chambers at 6 p.m. is going to be a public hearing on that closure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Guthrie. Mr. Penman.
It's quick.
It was pretty quick.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for acknowledging my son. Just want to congratulate Austin for returning home after 4 years of enlistment, active duty, coming home to go to college, hopefully in the IT world. So congratulations, welcome home. Thank you for your service. I did also want to touch on something else. I had the opportunity to attend the Board of Education meeting last night and listen to the conversations regarding the proposed school budget. I want to thank those community members and those Board of Education members that came and spoke and asked those important questions. What was alarming, though, was to find that the administration was trying to coerce the board to cut $5 million and use a large portion of the fund balance. And if they did, the administration would give them $8.5 million. And if they didn't, they wouldn't get the $8.5 million. I was encouraged that the Board of Education refused to use the children as political pawns and passed the budget as is, despite the influences by the county executive's administration. I should note this This is right after the county executive released a video yesterday promoting the great working relationship with the Board of Education. So going forward, I would hope the county executive and administration would offer whatever the county budget allows without trying to control, using coercion, games, or overreach to ensure that teachers are retained and classroom sizes are manageable. With that said, I and many of the board members of the education do understand there needs to be fiscal responsibility and accountability, and I believe that they know that, and, you know, going forward, once the number is given by the county executive's administration through the budget, they understand there's going to have to be some cuts. So with that, Mr. President, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Penman. Mr. Giangiordano?
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I just want to congratulate Hartford Tech's wrestling team on winning the regions down in Waldorf, I think, this past weekend. And I know Jim Riley's son is on that, grandson is on the wrestling team, so he's not here, so I thought I'd mention that for him. So thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Giangiordano. And Mr. Riley had to step out. He's not feeling well either. Ms. Bull-Sottles?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. My office had the pleasure of sitting in on the Aberdeen Community Coalition meeting today. I had the opportunity to learn more about the Susquehanna Workforce Network. Their focus is career readiness in Harford County, and they will be hosting an in-person resume seminar on February 21st from 9 to 11. For more information and to register, you can go to their website. The Harford County Sheriff's Office Annual Citizens Police Academy is free of charge and will be held every Wednesday evening beginning March 13th through May 22nd. It is open to any Harford County resident 18 years or older. You can learn more on their website as well. That's all I have. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bull-Sottles. So business from the president, I don't have a lot this evening either, but Mr. Richardson, you did document Mr. Pierce's comments about trash, potholes, trailers, signage, and I know you'll be on top of that. So I just wanted to make sure that you did get all of that. I want to thank everyone and wish these guys and gals here a quick recovery from whatever they've got going on. And I want to wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day. So thank you all. With that, we'll adjourn this meeting.